gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Welcome to Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Jeff, and tonight we have a very special guest who I have an interesting little tale to tell about how we connected here, and I just realized I forgot to plug my laptop in. That would not be good, so there we go. Best laid plans, trying to always get this thing to work good. So tonight, guys, joining me tonight, I have straight from the 51st state of the United States. You get the joke, right? Okay. Mr. Mick Layne.
How you doing, Jeff?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's actually a good day for me. I've had a lot of rough days lately, but today was a good day. So maybe you're a good luck charm for me. I don't know. We'll see how that works out.
Luck of the Irish.
Yeah, there you go. So okay, so a little bit of backstory here real quickly. Those of you that watch my channel know I have a couple of go-to favorites. Guitar players, bands. You guys know that have watched me forever that Rush is my favorite band of all time. Will always be my favorite band of all time. And I have a handful of guitar players that I reference or talk about regularly. And one of those guys is another fellow Canadian, and his name is Frank Marino. Frank is I feel was the very best of the 70s guitar players. I know he was certainly the shreddiest of all the guitar players. That's including Gary Moore, Uli, those guys, even Eddie towards the end there. But Frank was the master of the pentatonic blues shred. I still think he is to this day. And so I've done a couple of interviews with Frank. I've been very fortunate and lucky enough to do that. And in the interim, I got a message from this guy right here on one of my interviews with Frank. I think it was the second one, right?
Yeah, second one.
The one that I did last April. So I'm due. Frank and I are due for reconvening, hopefully here soon. But we'll get to Frank. I don't want to make this Frank centrist, so we'll get to him and your story that kind of ties in. But Mick reached out to me about the interview that I did with Frank back in April 24 and thanked me for that. And I just initially when I looked at it, I'm like, cool, another Frank head, you know? And I'm like, wait a minute, hold it. Mick Layne, I know that name. Why do I know that name? And I forgot one prop. Let me get my prop. I hate to subject anyone to my super white legs, but oh shit. I dropped my mic. Hang on a second. Of course, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Of course, I caught my foot in my my mic cord because I don't have like
occupational hazard.
Yes. So, all right. So this right here is an exhaustive Frank Marino deep dive. That if anybody has a Blu-ray player, DVD player, which everybody has one of those, you would think these days. This is the compendium. And we're going to talk quite a bit about this at some point here, Mick. But Mick is on this, all over this thing here, playing. Because, Mick, you want to tell them what you did?
I played with Frank Marino from 2000 off and on till today.
Yeah.
I still see Frank and still hang out with him. And we play a little bit together when he feels to it. And but he's a huge influence to me. he's been a huge influence to me even before I started playing guitar.
Right.
So when I was a drummer, um, I was a kid that just, like looked up to somebody like Frank and said, "Man, this guy made it out of Montreal. Like, why can't I make it out of Montreal?"
Right.
And so I was playing drums, and I'll give you a funny little story. So in 1976, I went to a place called Place des Nations on the south shore of Montreal to see Frank Marino with Rick Derringer's band Derringer,
Nice.
and it was the Let Me In album from Derringer.
Okay.
So went to the show. Felt really out of place because I was like 13 years old.
I was gonna say, dude, you were pretty freaking young, man. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
That's
I, I
awesome.
I saw a lot of concerts when I was young. I I was fortunate enough to see Alice Cooper and the James
Oh,
Gang and a few other bands like that.
oh, nice.
And so I was at this show, and I saw Derringer, and that was very cool. And then I saw Frank Marino because that's why I went, was to see Mahogany Rush. And so I'm watching the band, and I'm thinking, man, these guys are really, really good. But their sound would be so much bigger if they had like another guy in the background, just kind
Yeah,
of sort of strumming chords.
sure.
And then, but not even thinking. At some point, God, I guess, heard me and said, "Oh, okay, well, you'll be that guy in 2000."
That's
So
great.
fast forward, and I went to Frank's place originally to meet with him um, as to be his guitar tech because I
Oh,
had done guitar tech for a couple of other bands, Quebec band Offenbach,
oh yeah.
and yeah. So I said, yeah, sure. It's only one show. I'm good with that. And so I went to meet Frank, and we kind of sat down and started, kind of hanging out. And he said, "Hey, do you know any of my tunes?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I started playing his parts to the tunes because obviously, as a guitar player, you're playing the main parts.
Sure.
So I had learned those parts, and he said, "Well, yeah, pretty good. It's just you're playing my parts." And I said, "Well, I guess you're gonna have to get new parts." And
Now
that was
we
that
should
was the beginning of it.
just interfere for one sec.
Sure.
Um, we should mention though that Frank did end up bringing his brother Vince on as the second guitar player. So in the early days in the '70s, it was a trio, but then in
Right.
the '80s they took Vince out. Then that
Right.
was
And
yeah.
yeah. Who's another person? Actually, it's another funny story is that the first Marino I ever jammed with was with Vince.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, when I was like 18 years old,
no way.
I was playing softball one afternoon at Trenton Park, and Vince was sitting there with another Montreal musician, Steve Trotter, and
Okay,
we ended up going down to where I was jamming with a band, and we sat around and jammed some tunes. So
what
it was
year? What
kind of
year is that?
that would have been 1979, 1980.
Oh wow, so you're still a teenager, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But you were okay. So I want to get into your backstory a little bit before we
yeah,
get
yeah.
into all the Frank stuff. But
Sure.
but interestingly enough, you mentioned seeing Mahogany Rush as a trio back in the '70s, and man,
Yeah, yeah.
we
76.
should throw a shout out to Jimmy Oyub, who
Oh yeah, yeah.
way
It was sad to see him go. He was. I had met Jimmy quite a few times, and he had a great sense of humor. He was a real fun guy,
hell of a
and
drummer, hell of a
a
drummer.
great drummer. And
Woo.
actually, the first time we played at Club Soda, Jimmy came out and played a couple of tunes with us.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was really cool to be on stage with two-thirds of Mahogany Rush
Yeah,
that I had
connect that
seen
circle. Yeah,
in the '70s.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those pinch me moments.
I bet. Well, let's
Yeah.
take you back a little bit here. So you're a Canadian boy. You're a Montrealer, I guess, right?
I am a Montrealer.
Okay.
I
And
currently live in Gatineau,
okay.
which is about 2 hours away from 2 hours, 15 minutes away from Montreal, about 15, 20 minutes away from Ottawa.
So you're going west,
Yeah,
southwest.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I've never been to Montreal. In fact, I hate to say this. I'm pretty sure I've never been to Canada. I've been to Niagara. Maybe we were on that side. I guess we did go over that side. I guess we did. Yeah. But that's my only experience. I've just never made it up there. I've threatened to get up to Montreal a bunch. And it's crazy because I would say three of my, well, hell, maybe 4 or 5 of my favorite bands are Canadian bands. Mahogany Rush, obviously. Triumph, huge Triumph.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Rick
Rick Emmett,
you know,
great player.
my fucking, now we can swear. My
Yeah.
my Mount Rushmore of guitar players: Alex Lifeson, Rick Emmett, Frank Marino, probably Hendrix, I would guess, or maybe Trower, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of funny, and I love the West Coast stuff. I like the Vancouver scene because I
Yeah.
like bands like Skinny Puppy and
Oh yeah.
like the
Yeah.
industrial weird stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and Voivod, Voivod.
Oh
So,
yeah. Well, I knew Piggy for years.
really?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into that stuff, but
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
talk to you about coming up. So,
Okay.
as a young kid,
Yep.
as a Montrealer,
Hmm.
what's your first memories of music? Like, what comes to mind when I say, where did you tap in? Where did you?
Well, I was a one-string wonder guitar player for many, many moons.
We all were, though, weren't
Yeah, yeah, and never learned how to play chords. And I remember going for a guitar lesson, and I guess I must have been about 12 years old. Um, I had played classical piano when I was a kid, like from 6 till I was about 8.
we? Okay.
And then I think I threw my teacher for a loop when I said, "Hey, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I really want to learn the keyboard parts to these songs,
Yeah, you probably did.
Money in particular."
Yeah.
And so we sat down and I learned the keyboard part for Money.
Oh, sweet.
And I remember my sister and I both took lessons. And I remember the piano teacher saying to my grandmother, who I grew up with, that yeah, the boy has talent, the girl not so much. The boy really wants to do this, the girl not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, the part I hated the most was practicing.
You and me both, dude.
Yeah, I really, it was like, practice an hour. Are you freaking kidding? And then, which is really funny because when I made my way to guitar, I would sit around and play 8 to 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not have a problem with it.
But
like,
but did you take lessons ever as a kid?
well, the one lesson I took, I went to a place on Sherbrooke Street, not far from my house. So I went in, and the guy said, "Okay, I'm going to show you something." I said, "Okay, great." And he goes, "Ding, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah, right.
ding, ding," right? So he says, "Listen, I'll be back in 5 minutes." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Practice that. I'll be back in 5 minutes." He left. I figured it out pretty quick. He came back and I played it for him, and he went, "Oh, okay." Then he showed me ding, 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 ding. And then he said, "I'll be back in 5 minutes." I said, "Okay." The third time around, he came back and I played the and then he showed me the he showed me the ending of it. So I sat there and I was playing it and I was like, "This is boring as fuck. I do not want to have anything to do with this shit."
Yeah.
I left my money on the thing, put the guitar down, walked out, and said, "I'm not a guitar player."
He was going out and having smokes or
Oh yeah,
doing a bump or something like that before he came in to talk to
yeah,
you.
exactly.
I remember my first lessons were the Mel Bay primer.
Oh yeah, there you go, Mel Bay. Yeah.
And I could never get it. I still can't read music. I mean, I can, but I can't. Not really.
Yeah.
can't sight read, but
Right.
then that was my first teacher. But my second teacher was like, I'm like, dude, can you show me how to play AC/DC? Can you show me how to play Rush? Can you show me how to play?
Yeah.
And boom, right away, I was like, I liked going to that practice. I'm much better.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Mel Bay, gotta love him. But in all honesty, man, if you
Lame.
know, later on in as I was, uh, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but as I was getting better as a player because I was playing with a lot of different bands at that time, I got a gig teaching guitar. So I started teaching kids, and they would come in saying, I want to learn Runaway Train, and I want to learn this song, and I want to learn that song. And like music, because I was a metalhead when I was like in the 80s, man, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden,
Yep.
Ozzy, Randy Rhoads was my
God.
hero.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Frank really led me to learn how to play guitar, and Randy kind of took me to the next level of where I wanted to be.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought Eddie was great. He really was, and I learned some of the tapping stuff. I I just liked Randy's classical approach better.
Yeah, that neoclassical thing, and
Yeah, which was weird because when I was growing up, the music I listened to, and this is funny because I could never find a cover band to play any of the shit that I wanted to play, which drove me nuts. Because
really,
I wanted to play Free, I wanted to play, like Paul Kossoff.
but yeah,
Love the guy.
Bad Company, Mick Ralph.
No, like yeah, Mick Ralph's for sure,
Yeah.
but Paul Kossoff with
Oh yeah,
Free.
Yep.
And Thin Lizzy was a huge band for me.
Amazing.
Yeah, Richie Blackmore with
Yep.
Rainbow and with Purple.
Purple. Yep.
Uli Roth with the Scorpions.
Amazing.
And those were the guys I was into. Gary Moore was huge for me.
Yes.
When he played with Lizzy,
Black Rose.
I was fortunate enough that when Robo broke his hand and Gary took his place, they were on tour with Queen.
Yeah.
And Queen came to Montreal for a Day of the Racist night at the Opera.
Wow.
So I was there. I had a chance to see that gig. And I remember,
you're making me so jealous, dude, because I mean, Queen, there's a couple of bands and artists that I missed out on, Frank being one. Like, I don't know why or how it just worked out that I never got to see him, in the late 70s, and then in the 80s, when like What's Next came out, or Power Rock and Roll, or those Juggernaut, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He just never seemed to come around where I was at. So when the pandemic came, I remember getting tickets for the tour that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was really bummed about that. It was kind of a bad time for a lot of different things that were going on. It's I don't want to say a regret, but it's a moment that I kind of, because I had called Frank in December to say I wasn't going to be able to go back out.
Oh,
And I really wanted to go back out, but what I was going through and dealing with at the time, I didn't know if I'd be able to do it.
Okay.
Because I was really busy with other stuff.
Right.
And then when the pandemic hit, I felt even worse because it was like, man,
maybe I'm never going to get back out there again.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I ended up going back out anyway and playing with an Eagles tribute band for a long time.
And then unfortunately, Frank had the stuff happen, and he rescheduled everything.
Yeah.
And then we had that. I was kind of crestfallen because I thought I'm finally going to get to see Frank, and then he had some medical issues that made that not happen. But you're talking about Thin Lizzy. I never got to see them when it was
Lizzy.
Never got to see Queen. Never got to see David Bowie. I've got to see a lot of bands. I've seen hundreds of shows.
Sure.
There are certain bands that I just missed out on, and you just named all of them. So
yeah, I started going to concerts real young. Like I saw Alice Cooper Welcome to My Nightmare.
Wow,
Yeah,
75, right?
yeah,
74.
yeah, and yeah, 75. That was a really big show for me. I saw a couple of other concerts before then, um, but I really got into the whole concert scene around 75. Like
Hmm.
I was really big into Aerosmith
Sure.
and bands like that. And so for me, whenever a concert came to town, I was like, I gotta go see it. I was losing my mind.
You must have cool parents, I'm guessing.
Uh, that's my background as far as parents go. My dad was around. My mom left when I was real young,
Oh
so
man, dude, I'm sorry to hear that.
no, it's hey, everybody has choices in life,
Sure.
and I spent a lot of years being really bitter about that, but the reality is, man, like as you grow older, you start to understand more.
Yeah, true.
So the fact that hey, things didn't work out, why are you going to stick around to be unhappy?
But that's
You
cool
know?
because like my first show was 1979.
Okay,
I'm a couple years behind you because I'm a few years younger than you, not much,
right.
a couple. And Kiss was all the rage,
Oh,
of course.
I
So
I saw them on
love
Love Gun, and I
nice.
saw them on the Dynasty tour,
Dynasty was my first one. Dynasty, yeah,
and I saw the reunion show
nice.
that they did.
Only
That
ever
was
saw them
kind of
once.
cool. Yeah,
Only ever saw 'em once.
I saw them three times, and but I mean, like in I know it's going to sound weird, but when you think about VHS, like I had shows from I had San Francisco on VHS.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, got you
So
right. Mhm.
I got that, and I got Destroys Anaheim, and like I got to see a lot
Others,
of those
yeah,
shows that didn't necessarily like Destroyer. I believe came to Toronto,
probably. I would
and
guess, yeah.
I wasn't going to Toronto.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was living, I was living in Houston at the time, so Kiss was my first. It was
Yeah.
October of '79. And get
Okay.
this, Priest was opening for them,
Oh man.
but
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Priest dropped off in Dallas. They didn't come to Houston, so I got just
Oh.
Kiss. No opener.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
which
man.
for a 14-year-old kid, I'm like
That.
mind blown.
Yeah.
But the
Exactly.
funny
Yeah.
story, and I've told this story before, was my first show would have been Love Gun, but I lipped off to my mom and she tore the ticket up and then taped it together and gave it to my next door neighbor girl.
Oh no.
Yeah, she did that for Triumph too. That's a whole long story, but I had
Oh.
tickets for Progressions of Power, and she got
Okay.
pissed off at me because I was a pretty mouthy kid. I'm not gonna lie.
I get.
I was kind of
Okay.
a punk ass, but man, to do that twice, to have that done
Yeah.
to me twice,
Yeah. Not
but
cool.
my second show was Rush 1980 for Permanent Wave. So
Okay.
and
Well.
that
Yeah.
one then started something because I went to see Rush 56 times over my life.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
Well,
got Getty
I
and Allen.
saw them quite a few times.
Yeah,
I
greatest
got to
band.
see them with Max Webster
Oh, I did too.
for the Farewell to Kings tour.
Funny you should mention that. Funny you should mention that. Look at what I just got in the other day.
Oh, there you
The
go.
Max Webster box set.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been hunting that forever. Finally
Okay.
found a Canadian,
Yeah.
that had it for a reasonable price. I'm like, I'm in on that because I
Nice.
love Kim Mitchell, man. He's
Oh
another
yeah, yeah.
too.
I've seen him quite a few times. I saw him in a bar in 2000. I want to say 2009 at a little bar up the street from where I was living,
Yeah.
and it was great. He was doing stuff from Akimbo Logo and
Yep.
yeah, and he was doing some old Max Webster
Old
tunes
Max.
and yeah. But like I saw them, Shom FM, which is a radio station up here in Montreal, were giving away tickets, and the tickets were $3.99
Oh my
to
God.
yeah
Can you imagine?
to see Rush doing a farewell to Kings
Oh shit.
with Max Webster opening. And I was at that show. I saw the Hemispheres tour. I
Ah,
saw Moving Pictures tour.
you're making me jealous, but I saw
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah.
I mean,
That
I
was
saw every tour from every tour
from
except
Permanent Waves.
from
Yeah.
Permanent Waves on, except Signals, because I
Yeah,
moved.
well, yeah.
I moved from. I love that album, but I moved from Texas back to PA, and I
Hmm.
wasn't able to drive yet. And like when we lived in Texas, we were 40 minutes. We were 35 minutes from downtown.
Okay.
But when I moved into PA, which is where I live now, I'm an
Okay.
hour and a half from Philly, and that was the closest place. My mom wasn't driving me down there,
No.
But,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'll never forget the song "In Context of the Moon" off High Class.
Okay.
There's a line in there about cocaine hookers, and so there's a funny line in there
Yeah.
that Guy Dubois did, and
Yeah.
I'll never forget watching Kim out there in, or yeah, like he's wearing like a tunic and
Yeah.
like leotards, and he's
Yeah.
balding, and he's got that real long skullet going
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they were just such a weird, unique band that
Oh
never
yeah.
left me from that day
Yeah.
forward. So,
Well, they were great musicians.
oh
They
yeah,
really were, man.
yeah.
Like, and when he put together his solo band with Matt Furnett, I think his name is keyboard.
Um, Peter Peter Fredette.
Peter Furnett.
Man,
Uh,
all we are. That song.
oh,
Oh,
what an awesome tune! You
dude,
know,
that
first
song.
time I heard that on the radio, I was like, "What the hell is that?" You know,
Man.
it reminded me a little bit of Battle Scars
Yeah,
in that kind of
the Getty and Alex
yeah,
the Rush
yeah,
thing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's back up just a little bit. So,
Okay,
okay, so you're doing piano as classical as a kid,
yeah, yeah.
and then you come into the guitar. When about is
No, I started playing drums.
oh
And
drum set.
then after I was playing drums and being a one string wonder, um, it was actually the same guy that I went to the Derringer Frank Marino show that showed me how to do a bar chord.
Okay.
And then a friend, a family friend by the name of Rob Berman, who is an absolute excellent jazz guitar player, uh, was living in England and he had just moved back. And he it's kind of funny, but I bought the Strat copy that he had, and he gave me the copy of Maxoon, and
Oh,
I
okay.
went home and I tried. It's so weird the way this all kind of does this.
Intersected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just almost like, okay, you know what? This is going to
Fate.
be, yeah,
Fate.
this
Yeah.
is, you're not a guitar player, but here's a guy who's going to help you out and show you a few chords, and he's going to give you an album to listen to, and it
Yeah.
happened to be Frank Marino. And then I bought the live album, and I used to stack quarters, like $10 in quarters, on on the label of the album, so it would slow it down enough that I could try and figure.
Oh, wow. No shit.
And then I would take four quarters off, so it sped up a bit, so I'd have to retune and then play
Yeah.
again, and then four quarters, and continuously until I could play it. Now, I didn't. It didn't. It wasn't perfect. It didn't sound like Frank,
All right.
but because I had a chorus pedal and a little big muff, it sounded kind of close.
Close enough. Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
to a very young impressionistic sort of set of ears, it was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Good enough to keep you going, right?
Exactly,
Going. I
exactly.
mean, that
Yeah,
is kind of crazy that's the how that circle gets completed many years later when you
yeah,
actually connect with Frank. So
yeah,
so okay, so you're now starting the guitar, you're
yeah,
graduating from single notes to chords.
yep.
What's your first like band experience? Like where do you connect with other dudes that you're jamming with?
6 months later, I joined up with a couple of guys, and we were doing Skinner and Journey and Van Halen and stuff like that. And then around 1981, Um, I had been playing for, I guess, a couple of years at that point, and I joined up with a couple of other people. This guy, Steve Malawani and Daniel Plouffe, who were very big into the metal scene. And I really liked Van Halen and Ozzy and Thin Lizzy and stuff. And so I got together with them, and the next thing you know, we're doing Geo and Rainbow and stuff like that. And then Danielle left, and I used to hang out at a bar called the Mustache, which was on the A circuit. So it was,
Okay.
it was up there. Um, so I would go down there, and I ended up meeting up with this guy, Ron Fraser, who's a bass player, and we hooked up with a singer named Paul, and me, Steve, and Paul and Ron got together, and we formed this little band called Valence. And
What
then
was the
we
name again? Valence.
Valence, yeah.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then we just started playing, and we started getting these gigs, and then we were playing, like, back in the early 80s, you would play 4 nights at the same bar,
Right.
and you'd be booked for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we started doing that,
Now
and then
you're doing covers or doing
oh yeah,
original?
no, we're
Oh,
doing covers at this
yeah. Right.
point. As we added another guitar player, we started doing a lot more Priest and Maiden
Dual
and
guitars. Yeah.
Metallica, and yeah. And then we went back to being a single guitar band with me, and we used to do a tribute set to Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, nice.
Um, so we would do, stuff from his solo stuff, and we do stuff from Black Sabbath, and we did a lot of Rainbow. And we were also playing like Crocus and Raven and bands like that.
Sure.
And then that band, after a few years, kind of fell apart. And then I decided, well, I'm going to take a chance. So I hopped on a plane and flew out to LA.
Oh, wow. Okay. And
Yeah,
what year is this again?
that's 1984 when I flew
Oh,
out
so
to
you're
LA.
going out there when the hair metal thing is really raging.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I played with a band that opened for a band called uh, hang on, Pirate at the Roxy.
Okay.
And Pirate was actually Poison.
No
Turned into
way.
Poison. Yeah, they turned into Poison.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
originally they're from right
they're
around
from
where
Pennsylvania.
they're from Mechanicsburg, which is
Yeah, yeah.
about 45 minutes to an hour north of me.
Okay,
And originally here they were called Paris, actually.
okay. And then when they got to LA, they were called Pirate,
Okay.
and then eventually turned into Poison.
Yeah. How about
So
that shit?
yeah, that was kind of funny. Brett was
Yeah.
awesome. He was a great guy. Um, Ricky Rocket was a really nice guy. We got the gig because we went to meet with CC DeVille at Tower Records
Okay.
in Los Angeles. And my drummer at the time, Mark, we got a chance to go see him, and we talked, and he was like, yeah, sure, here's a bunch of posters and a bunch of tickets, and start
Well,
selling.
this
Oh
is
yeah,
all back in the pay to play days. So
oh
you
yeah,
you
yeah,
had to move those tickets to even get
oh
on
yeah,
stage. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a good experience for me.
And
I
what was the
learned a
name of your
lot.
band again out there?
uh, Man, what were we called?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, I was, and I'm trying to remember what the name of the band was. It was a weird band because the singer thought he was Vince Neil, and I had a guitar player who was in a death metal band.
Really?
Yeah, it was and Mark, our drummer, looked like a bodybuilder more than anything else, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, it was a mixed match of everything.
So
I
how long
really
how long did you
I
do that?
didn't. We played together for about 3 months, I think, 3 or 4 months, and it was like, okay, this ain't gonna happen.
And then
And then family issues happened, and I came back
you
to
came back home. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny because I have friends, good friends that from around here that went out in 86 or 87, I think it was.
okay,
Yeah, guys I went to high school with, they had parents that had some money. So they
yeah,
went out and they went out as a band. Initially they were called Killer Hit. Like
okay,
taking a killer hit of weed, killer
yeah,
hit, but they changed their name to Brunette because they were all dudes with long brunette hair,
okay,
of the era.
oh yeah,
They played the Strip, playing with all kind of all those bands, Rat, Rocks Regime, which was Striper, Bang
yeah, yeah,
Tango,
yeah,
all the Poison, all those dudes, the
yeah,
Motley's,
yeah,
all that stuff like
yeah,
that. But then the brothers, the Joeli brothers, Johnny Joeli and Joey, they ended up getting connected. Their sister ended up meeting Neil Sean
okay,
and marrying Neil Sean. This is way
oh,
back. Yeah.
okay.
And they ended up starting a band called Hardline. You ever hear of
Oh, I
Hardline?
remember that
Yeah,
band.
that was my
Yeah.
buddy Johnny and shit. So
Okay.
it was
Cool.
kind of weird, man. I'm like, holy fuck, I know like LA rock dudes,
Guys. Yeah.
I've had Johnny on. I had him on about 2 years ago, and it
Okay.
was funny because he couldn't remember me from high school.
Really?
Man, I just don't remember you. I'm like, dude, we were in freaking we weren't like best friends. He was a year below us, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a metal dude. I went over to their studio that they had built in their basement, and they were
Hmm.
recording all these killer hit demos because they had a guy
Hmm.
named Mark Rambler, who was their lead guitarist, who was a local dude that was just a fucking. He was insanely good, doing the
Okay.
Eddie
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff, the Jeff Watson
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so we're doing this interview, and he's like, dude, I'm trying, man. I just don't recall you. The next day he calls me. He's like, dude, I know who you are now. I'm like, what? He goes, I was talking to a girl that you graduated with, Leah, and she's like, Jeff, you don't know Jeff Kiefer? Like,
Yeah.
seriously? Like, he's like, dude, it just didn't, because I didn't have long hair back then. I had real
Right.
short
Yeah.
hair. And so it was just one of those funny things, but
Yeah.
kind of weird that, I've known some of those dudes.
So many of those people.
Yeah, it
You
was
know.
strange. And now
Yeah.
that I do this, I get to meet those guys all the time, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird. It's weird how it works out. But okay, so you're doing the LA thing. You come back home,
Hmm.
and you're now what, in your early 20s? I'm guessing, or around 20.
And I'm in my mid 20s, I think, at that point, and I got together with a band with the two Brians and Norm Marino,
Now
Frank's
who's that?
brother.
Oh, Norm or Ben?
Yeah, Norm.
Oh, he's got another brother.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So who's Norm?
yeah.
Older,
Norm.
younger?
He's older, and he was playing bass, and we started playing together, doing some stuff, and that was kind of fun for a little bit when I got back. And then I just kind of branched off, and I moved up to Morin Heights and worked at the studio for a little while.
Okay. Whoa, whoa,
At
whoa! Stop. Did you just
Okay,
say what I think you said? You
the
worked at
studio.
you worked at La Studio?
Yeah, just when Perry had sound. What the hell was his name? Anyway, the owner of the studio just sold the studio,
Okay.
and so I started working there as a gopher.
What year are we
And
talking here?
86.
Wow.
And the first band that I worked with as a gopher was Queensryche.
For Operation Minecraft.
Operation Mindcrime.
Unreal, dude. That's
Yeah,
insane. That is
yeah,
so killer, dude.
yeah.
Wow.
With
Now, did you ever
Paul
get?
Northfield and Glenn
Yeah.
the Stank Robertson, and I did get a chance to hang out with Jeff Tate and Chris DeGarmo for a bit because they were up there doing some different stuff, and
Mhm.
I got to hear some of the tracks through the board and before it came out, and then yeah, so I've been really fortunate, man. I've been at the right place at the right time
Yeah,
on
it
quite a
sure
few occasions.
sounds
So
like it. I mean,
yeah.
that studio, sad. That's what's happened,
Oh
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, that was such a iconic studio to me as
Yeah.
a kid because
Yeah.
the Permanent Waves album I think was the first one. No, did they do one before there?
Yeah, they do. Well, no.
No, that was the first one I think.
Yeah, Permanent Waves, but
And
Moving
then they
Pictures
did,
was the most famous one that they did up there.
yeah,
I
the
think.
moving
Yeah.
pictures and
Yeah.
they did a bunch of them there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That unfortunately it's gone now. I believe it's
Yeah. Yeah. It is Andre Perry. That's his name.
that's his name.
Andre Perry had
Andre
sold the
Perry.
studio at that point when
Yeah.
because they were getting ready to move as I got the gig there. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So then, so how long were you at the studio? How long did you do that?
I was only in Morin Heights for about a year, so I guess about 6, 7 months maybe. I
Okay.
remember that the Northern Pikes were there. I remember Davy Vane and Vane were there.
Maine, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that Asia was coming in to do their thing, and yeah, so
Very cool, man. But
yeah.
I guess so. You didn't become an engineer. You just were you were
No,
just
I
a
was just a
gopher.
gopher,
Yeah.
right?
But
So,
still, that's pretty fucking cool, man. To
oh
be able.
yeah, I mean, yeah, any experience is a good experience. You
Yeah.
know, even a
Okay.
bad experience is a good experience, the way I see it.
Now, had you done any recording yet to that point, or
I
not yet?
had, well, I had heard through the grapevine that Megadeth were looking for a guitar player, and because I had worked there, I got a chance to go back and record some demos of what I could do um, to do that. I've had three other chances in my life. One was I played with a band for 7 years called Iron What, which was an Iron Maiden tribute band.
Okay.
And I had played with Steve Harris on one occasion, and I had played with Nico McBrain on another occasion
Oh
in
wow.
Quebec City. And when Adrian Smith left the band, I got a phone call from England to see if I would be interested in going to with Maiden. And prior to that, um, Randy Rhoads' mom, before they hired Zach, had spoken to Ozzy about a guitar player that she had met from Canada, who was that was when I was in LA. I
Okay.
went to Musonia for a day, and she canceled her whole afternoon. We just spent the afternoon talking, and she showed me a bunch of Randy's stuff and where he used to teach and that kind of thing. And I guess we just had a connection, and she gave me permission to go to the mausoleum to
Oh
see where
wow.
he was, and so I got a chance to, you know, basically say thank you for being an inspiration. And it was weird though because you had to go into a building. This is before they put the monument outside,
Okay.
so he
Okay.
was actually in. So, but when Zach was getting ready to join Ozzy, they were waiting for my demo tape, and I ended up breaking my wrist and two fingers. And I
Ooh,
tried to do it anyway, but it just wasn't going to happen.
wow. So
Um,
okay. So this is
this
Zach
is 80, yeah,
after
around there.
Jake.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Before Zach. Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Randy. I'm kind of in. I'm a little bit of more of a Jakey fan for some reason. I just love his weird.
He's awesome.
He's fucking
When
cool.
he played with Badlands,
I love Badlands.
I saw him at the Brick, and we hung out for a good hour. And then he was trying to convince his management to let him come back to our rehearsal hall, which was about 5 minutes away from where the show was,
Okay.
so we could sit around because I was backstage prior to the show, and we were jamming like Fire and Water and a bunch of old Free songs, and I believe a UFO song and a couple other things like that.
Oh, holy
And yeah, we got along real well, and we were trying to talk him into letting us him and Jeff Martin wanted to come back and jam. And
Yeah.
I was like, hey, let's do this, you know. And they were like, no, we got to get on the tour bus and get to the next town.
Which
And I was
was this
like,
for the debut or the second album?
no, second album, Voodoo
I
Highway.
saw that tour too, man.
Yeah, that
Before
was awesome.
Yeah, before Ray got too sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that guy could fucking sing like
Oh man, could
oh
he?
shit.
Holy
Holy
crap!
fuck. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I've ever seen a guy that fucking amazing
Oh
live.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I've seen a lot of great singers, but that dude had some pipes.
Oh yeah.
Sad how that all went down. But Jake, man, watching Jake, I saw Jake with Ozzy twice for the Ultimate Sin tour,
Oh wow.
and which coincidentally, Metallica opened the first leg for
Okay.
Master of Puppets. The second leg was Queensryche for Rage for Order.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that was pretty fucking cool. But Jake was just fucking phenomenal, man.
Yeah, he has such a great feel.
Yeah, there's just something about his playing. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. I think Randy was more polished, but
Oh
Jake
yeah.
just had a
Yeah.
fucking fire when he played. Has a fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Man,
he
that's
just.
one guy. That's one guy I want to meet and get on. I would love to get him on here one of these days.
Oh man, I hope you do because he's awesome to speak to,
Oh yeah, he's a
and he's
riot,
just a wealth of knowledge.
and he's a
Yeah.
funny guy, and he's a
Yeah.
real cool guy. I gotta look into
Yeah.
seeing if I
Yeah.
can. Meet
That's
that
why
guy.
when I heard he got shot, I was blown away.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
that was
what
terrible.
the hell is going on?
Yeah,
You know?
man. So okay, so you've got some opportunity, you got some possibilities that didn't pan out through
Nope.
various reasons. If you don't mind me asking, how'd you break your hand like that? Should I ask?
Being young and stupid.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Done that twice with this hand
Oh,
right
there
here.
you.
Right here.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
know all about it. One was due to a girl,
Yeah.
and the other was trying to keep my buddy out of trouble.
Yeah. Well, we'll go with the buddy out of trouble thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
And one, I've broken it 3 times. I'm lying. I broke these 2 bones 3 times. The first time was a girl. Yeah, that was not a good one. The second time was helping a buddy. Right after that, I re-broke it because I was helping a buddy that got into a scrape, drunk at night, doing stupid shit.
That's what kids do. Yeah.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
the third time was really stupid. This one was the king of stupid. Was punching a dartboard with a brick wall behind it because my football team was getting their ass kicked.
Well, you know, being a sports fan.
I'm glad it wasn't this hand,
Yeah.
but it's still it's it doesn't affect me picking wise. But man,
Right.
like if it had been this hand, that would have been pretty brutal. But
Yeah. That's
I
same
get
thing.
you. I
Yeah.
feel you, man. So
Yeah.
all right. So we're where are we at here timeline wise? Are we in the 90s? Later 90s?
Yeah. Yeah. We would be in the 90s, and that's when I decided to do my own thing.
Okay.
So I put together a band called Pony Express, and we went and I had written like 5 songs or something with a little drum machine on an X15, and what I used to do is I would take like a stereo drum track and a bass track, or sorry, a stereo drum track with a guide track, and then bounce it to track 4, and then go back and do like the guitar and uh, a bass track, and then bounce it to track 3. So
Okay.
I would try and get more tracks out of a 4-track.
Right. So we're talking 4-track, like an old Fostex. I have
Yeah,
an
an X15.
Yeah. Yep.
So I ended up doing this, and I put together like 5-6 songs. Ended up the bass player that I was playing with in the Iron Maiden tribute band decided to join me because he really liked it. It was really very Zeppelin-esque. It had like a Badlands roughness to it. We had a real good singer who, ironically enough, is singing in like a really popular Led Zeppelin tribute band. And a drummer from Kentucky named Jay Andrews, who was really good. And so we put this band together figuring, okay, let's see what we can do. And that took off. And we were getting write-ups in magazines in Toronto and various other places. We were something to look out for because our first show was opening for Wild Tea in the Spirit, which was a Canadian band that was Wild Tea. Tony Springer used to have a Hendrix tribute called Fire,
Okay.
and we used to go see him play all the time because he was really, really good. And so I had known him off and on for years, and he said, "Yeah, come on out, open the show for us." So we did, and then it just kind of took off from there. And we were playing all the time and getting write-ups, and then a pretty well known uh,
Label?
no pretty well known entertainment
Oh, like
promoters
promoters, right? Yeah,
got
right.
involved with us, and
Management company, right?
yeah, and they were like, behind us 100%. We started going, and all of a sudden we were playing, but we weren't getting to the next level after 6, 7 months, and the next thing you know, I had no band.
Yeah,
So
what?
no
Oh, yeah,
band.
no band.
Yeah,
Just
people.
disintegrated.
Somebody decided they were going to go off and get married. Somebody else decided partying was more important than rehearsing.
I
Somebody
got
else, yeah.
you. Yeah.
So that kind of happened, and then instead of jumping back in and trying to find replacements, I just kind of took some time off to think about things. Then I started trying to find replacements, and in the meantime, I was filling in for all kinds of tribute bands: a Van Halen tribute band, an Ozzy tribute band, Judas Priest tribute band, an Iron Maiden tribute band.
This is all
Um,
local, though, right? This is all local stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So that kind of was what I did for a while. I played with a couple other original bands, um, but mostly it was cover bands, top 40, that type of thing. Classic rock.
And where are we
So,
talking about? Like, what years are we talking now?
oof, from '92 until I guess '94. And then in '94, I decided to get another incarnation of Pony Express. So I started writing more material, and I found a couple of guys that were really good. And we went into the studio and we started recording some stuff. And then the last day that I was tracking my last rhythm track, before starting the vocals and the solos and finishing all that stuff, the owner of the studio and the guy who was engineering us pulled me aside and said, "Yeah, we're going to scrap the project and we're going to go out and find two better guys and we're just going to start all over again." And I was like, "I'm
Wow,
doing my last freaking track today,
wow.
and you're telling me this today?" You
What
know?
you meaning they were going to replace the other two guys, not you?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Where was this? You weren't doing this for a label, though. This was
No, I mean, the only label that I kind of dealt with a little bit beforehand was Arista Records when I was playing with a band called Medicine Men, which I played with not very long. We did some shows. We got some local kind of thing. There was never anything really out there, Nobody. I was one of those kids that had a suitcase packed with a guitar pack in my closet
hmm
in case I ever got the chance to go somewhere.
right.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
And it never really happened. So when I
Well,
joined Frank,
I was going to say. So then this kind of leads into the Frank thing, then to a degree.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
How's that all come about? Like you kind of explained it, but maybe
yeah.
go into a little more detail. You had you known Frank? You'd known him
I
personally?
had met him on different. I met him at Echo Base one time when he was doing some work with a band called Rain,
Okay.
and I had met him at car shows because
Oh
I
yeah,
used to go
that's
to the
right. He was
car
big into
shows all the
cars. Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, so I was working at Steve's Music Store, and his wife would come in and say, Frank wants this and this. And I'd be like, yeah, but take this and this instead. But like, take the things that he wants, but here's a couple of other things. Tell him to A and B them and see what he thought. And for whatever reason, everything I sent there, he would keep and send back what he thought he originally wanted.
Okay.
So, and then I think the topper of all toppers was on my lunch hour, I would go and grab this like purple Strat that was sitting in the window. And that I would just kind of noodle on that all the time. Excuse me. One night, Frank came in and he was looking to buy a guitar. And that was the guitar he ended up buying.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I still get a chance to play that guitar every now and then.
Okay.
I know where it is. But yeah, so one thing led to another, and somebody said, would you be interested in being Frank's guitar tech for a couple of shows, like a show?
Okay.
And this would have been June of 2000 when he was making his comeback. For
the Eye of the
Storm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was just...
It should be noted, he hadn't recorded in quite a while, I think, right? Was it?
Right. Yeah, like
7 or 8 years, something like
yeah,
that?
at least that. Yeah. Well, he took 7-8 years off.
Right. Yeah, because all the bullshit that he went through with Columbia. Yeah.
Yeah. But he had gone through the bullshit with Columbia, and then he came and he did like 3 albums on his own, right?
Yeah, from the hip.
Yeah.
I forget the names of all of them now.
Yeah, I've got the albums too, and
From the Hips 1. I can't remember the other.
Yeah.
Sorry, Frank, if you're watching this.
Yeah, me too. So he hadn't recorded for a while, and he had done a Canada Day celebration in Ottawa, and then he kind of came back and he decided, he found the website that Willie had put together.
Yes.
And
right.
then we were going to start that and, kind of go from there. So I went down to be his guitar tech, and that's when, we started jamming and, we had a kindred spirit.
Right.
So, and he said, did you know I was looking for a guitar player? I said, no. And he goes, would you be interested? And I said, yeah. So he goes, it's a hard gig because you're a guitar player. It's going to be a hard gig because he's the guy.
Yes.
I'm not going to be the guy.
You're not going to be the guy. That's true.
Now, I've spent my whole life trying to be the guy.
The guy. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And,
but the reality, and it's interesting because you brought this up, and I was going to go there anyways, so we'll kind of go there. Look, man, you're a good player. I
appreciate that.
You're a good player. There's only one Frank Marino.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I mean, it's just like there's only one Alex Lifeson.
Yeah.
So when you join that, I think what he was kind of saying was, look, man, you're going to be in the pocket. You're going to be the rhythm guy.
Yeah.
And that's you got to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
Because we all of us guitar players, we all want to be that lead guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
and in some
reality,
bands that works. In Maiden that works. In Judas Priest that works. But it don't work in Van Halen, or it don't work in Rush, and it don't work in Mahogany Rush. So
no, that's the thing, right? Like for me, being a huge fan of Government Mule and the Allman Brothers and Skinner and stuff like that, I figured, like my idea was, hey, I know Frank from doing 200 dates a year. I know Frank from, all the stuff that he can do. So if I can be a small part of that and still get a chance to say what I need to say, that'll be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way I kind of approached it, which was expectation on my part that I never should have really I didn't think it through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once I realized that, I was like, okay, you know what? People aren't going to pay $20, $30 a ticket because it's not called Mick Layne and Mahogany Rush.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
once I realized that, I was like, all right.
Yeah, you had to get
So
okay. You had to get okay with it. Yeah.
yeah, and then when he called me in he called me in 2009, and then he called me back in 2010 and said, do you want to come back out? And I was
Well, let
like,
me
yeah,
ask
man,
you
for
this.
sure.
Let's go back a minute
Good.
too. So around Eye of the Storm, I truly don't know how much touring he was doing for that back then because for some reason I kind of lost track of Frank for a while there.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you going? Did you get to go out with him once?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
2000, 2001, 2002, we went and did like in 2000, uh, I did my first gig at the Spectrum with Frank. And then I think 4 or 5 days later, I was in Sweden doing the Sweden Rock Fest.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay,
This is pretty cool.
here we go,
Yeah.
And then there was like, there was a tour of we did Detroit, Cleveland, and Chicago. We played the House of Blues in Chicago.
Was that
Which
the Uli? Was that the Uli tour or no?
No, that was the Frank thing. That was
Okay.
the first tour that I did with Frank in 2000.
Okay. Were you with him
And
when he did the Uli thing then too? Over in
I
the
was still with him, but I didn't go with
you
him to
didn't
do
make that
that.
trip. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Um.
So,
So so some real cool opportunities here,
yeah,
but you did have to understand that it was Frank was the man out front.
exactly. And I got that. And when we were at the Sweden Rock Fest, which was my second gig with Frank,
Wow.
the guys from Molly Hatchet, their tour manager approached me and I went over to their camp and we kind of sat around and chatted. And about 3 weeks after I got back home, he called me and said, we're looking for a guitar player. Would you be interested to play with Bobby?
Okay.
And I was like, let me think about it. And I know this is going to sound weird. Like, I grew up listening to Molly Hatchet.
So did
Like
I. Love
they
that.
were a huge,
Fucking
great band, and I
talk about
loved
killer
them.
guitars, man.
Oh
That's
yeah,
three
yeah,
prong attack right there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought, wow, I could play with Molly Hatchet, and I'm going to get to play a lot more, and so on and so forth. And they're calling me and asking me if I'd be interested in getting on a plane and flying out there, and I was blown away. And a buddy of mine was sitting on the couch when all this happened, and his jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe this just happened. I was like, neither can I. And I think it was probably within the next 3 hours I called him back and said, I'm not the guy. And the reason I said that is because that opportunity never would have knocked had it not been for Frank and
Getting
playing
you
with
over
Frank
there.
there.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty loyal guy.
Yeah. It sounds it. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not, it's like, hey, thanks for the opportunity. See you later. I wouldn't do that. And I'll never do that. Not to Frank. You
Yeah.
know, it's,
Well, I mean, I would assume that, I guess I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but I'm assuming that Frank's treated you pretty good otherwise.
Frank and I have had Frank and I we get along amazingly. And he has helped me in so many ways. Even when he's pissed at me, he's helped me in so many ways. And he's taught me more than I ever would imagine I would know. He's got to be one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yeah, he's sharp.
Yeah,
He's a deep thinker.
he is very deep, and we have some pretty good conversations. Um, and I look forward to each and every one of them. My favorite conversation that we had was when he made the pedals, And I said, you could have saved us both a lot of headaches had you built these a long time ago.
Yeah, right, right.
Because, I'm listening back to the demo that I did of the pedals, and I'm going, man, I sound like Frank.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah,
That was you on those demo videos.
yeah.
It just clicked with me. I remember. Okay, yeah, wow, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So I was like, man, like had you built these 40 years ago, and yes, you did build them 40 years ago, but had you built them 40 years ago, you would have saved me a shit ton of money
yeah, right.
and a shitload of time because that's the tone I was looking for.
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So,
I want to get one, but I'm not gonna lie, and I told this Frank straight up.
yeah,
They're pricey. They're
they
a bit.
are pricey, but I will tell you, I bought them. I'm not a
Right.
rich person, okay? Like
Well,
I,
neither am
I
I.
work I work at a grocery store. That's what I do to make money to survive.
Right. Gotcha.
And I bought those pedals
Yeah,
because
I'm
but
gonna
I
look
was
at.
also fortunate enough to be there to try them before
Yeah.
they ever came out.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And I
So
mean, people don't really know this unless they listen to my first two interviews with Frank. They'll get a taste of it. But
yeah,
Frank's been building electronic shit. I mean,
forever.
he was hot rodding his transistor amp that he was using back
Yeah,
in
the acoustics.
the
Yeah.
acoustic back in the 70s. Nobody was getting toned like that dude, man.
Mm-mm.
And you're right. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Um, and I love my conversations with him. I love to meet him. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would love.
Oh, never say never, my friend.
Well, we'll see.
Seriously, never say never.
I'm hoping maybe he can go out on the road again. Have you talked to him lately about his hand?
Yeah, not really about his hand, but I am going to see him next week.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to drive down to Montreal, and I already gave him a heads up that I'm coming to talk his ear off because I have a shit ton of questions about resistors and changing shit. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I hope. I mean, I know he had some major problems with his left hand. So,
I'm his worst nemesis.
oh yeah, what's that?
Oh
What do you mean?
yeah, because I am constantly telling him, yeah, you're gonna play again. Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
gonna play again. And
yeah.
he's like, no. And in the beginning, when he was having real serious problems with his hands, I would go there and purposely play with him and watch him endure the pain. Not because I wanted to see him. I'm not a sadist. I just wanted to. I know it's there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's hard and it hurts like hell, and I feel for it, but man, he's doing everything in his power. And it's funny because I sit there and I listen to him, and he goes, man, but I can't play like I used to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And okay, there's certain things that he's he's not doing right now, but I still think he's going to do because it's still there.
Right.
But to listen to him just play
He still
now,
blows away a lot.
oh my God, man! Like a third of a
Well,
franc is better than
he-
most people's 100%.
I think in Frank's case, he has such a high standard for
Yeah, he does.
himself,
He
and
does, and I get it.
I totally get that, man. Like
Yeah,
so you see that?
yeah,
So that's pretty messed up looking, isn't it?
yep. But you can still play your notes.
But what's happened? So I was shoved from behind playing soccer in 2012, and I
Okay.
jammed my finger, and my finger swelled up to the size of like four
Of
fingers.
the soccer ball. Yeah,
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 and it turned for a month or so. I kept nursing it, going, "Oh no, it's just a sprain." It wasn't. It actually the
no,
whole knuckle was destroyed, and then I had surgery on it, and I had a choice of either having it like this all the time,
yeah,
or they were going to put a knuckle in it. No, you'll be able to use it because as a guitar player, I don't have long fingers. I have very short fingers, very small hands. So it's like, yeah. So it's like I'm like, no, I need a knuckle in there. Well, they told me it was going to straighten out. It never did.
right.
What I can't do is I can't do. I used to be able to do 6-string, like 6-fret
Yeah.
things.
Stretches. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really, or 7. I could get
Yeah.
close to 7. You
Okay.
can't do that anymore. So songs like one that really sticks out is Rats Lay It Down. I can't play that
Okay.
R&B Martini riff.
Right.
That one there. Can't
Yeah.
get it. So I've adapted to, but I will tell you when this happened
Yeah.
and it didn't straighten out, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to play again. You'd be shocked at what ends up happening.
Oh yeah.
These fingers start to do
Yeah, man.
that you didn't
Sheer determination.
you adapt around it. So let's
Yeah.
hope that Frank's and I am gonna hit Frank up here and if you said you're going to see him next week,
I'm going to see him next week.
let him know, obviously let him know I say hello.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'd love to chat with him again one of these days.
I will definitely let him know.
But were you on and I tried hunting for it, but I don't have my CDs up on a wall.
Okay.
They're in boxes in various closets after
Yeah.
a pandemic we had to move and I don't have this I've got literally no joke.
Right.
I've got about 4,000 CDs they're in closets everywhere because I don't have a place to put shelving up. So I got to hunt, and I'm not sure where my Mahogany Rush is at right now.
Right. Yeah.
So I couldn't dig out. Eye of the Storm.
Eye of the Storm. Yeah.
Full Circle, by the way, was one of the other.
That's the other album.
Well,
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
What were you on that album? Did you play?
I was there sparsely, like just enough to get a credit for it.
Okay.
But I was on Real Live.
Oh, okay, Real Live.
Yeah. And then on the
Got that one.
DVD. Yeah.
And then, of course, the DVD, which we'll show again here.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about this real quick before we
Okay.
get out of here. So this is was recorded in 2012, right?
2010.
Oh, it was 2010. Okay.
2010 at the Agora in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right. And this concert is 6 hours long. However,
No, this concert is 12 hours long.
It's 12
and
hours
edited
down
to
to
6
6.
hours.
I know.
Yeah.
So was that over 2 days or 1 day?
No, that's a 1 day. Okay, we went in the night before and did about 6 hours of sound check and jamming
Rehearsal.
and well, not really rehearsal because we never really rehearse. We just kind of go out and Frank kind of calls it and we better know what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went out and I think it was more for the camera guys to kind of get an idea of what was going on.
Okay.
And it was a ton of fun for me and Frank because there's moments in that first night where he's playing his Taylor A5, which is an acoustic, and we're doing almost like an acoustic-y version of like For the Emperor. And and what was the other one that we did that I found really funny because it was just like, man, this song is so heavy, but it sounds so nice like this. I'm looking down. Requiem for a Sinner.
Requiem.
Yeah. So we kind of had fun playing around with that song because we did it on the DVD.
Okay.
And so yeah, we just it was a night of just kind of letting loose. And what was cool was that the people that had come down to see what was going on and meet up and stuff, they just came inside and they got to see us just kind of being goofy and having fun.
You're just talking about regular fans that were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Frank's always been very.
Oh yeah, very
fan friendly.
Oh yeah, very much so.
No tensions, no rock star attitudes. Yeah.
No. And then on the next day we went and we did like 12 hours worth of music with like an hour break in between the second and third set.
Dude, that's insane, man. That's fucking crazy.
That's playing with Frank Marino.
That is nuts, man. Think about that and you're like, what the fuck, man? Like even Zeppelin at their heyday were maybe doing 4 hours, but like 12 hours of playing is just nuts.
Yeah, but it turned out real well, I mean, we had some audio issues when it came
I was going to
back.
say it turned out well, except for the major problem with the drums.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes out. There's a 2 DVD. This is all in one package. And,
with
if you
a
want to
booklet.
order this, go watch one of my two Frank Marino interviews because I've got it linked there. But
Yeah,
there's a Blu-ray of the whole thing
yeah,
and the 6
the,
hours, and then
yeah.
there's two
The
DVDs.
DVDs. Yeah,
I think it's the same. It's the same set.
it's
Though.
the same show. It's
Right.
just one's on one
Format.
disc and the other's on two.
Yeah.
Also, the booklet.
Great book.
Yeah, he. What's cool about that is that Frank basically him and somebody sort of wrote like the first 85 pages, I think it was,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then Frank took off and wrote the rest of it on his own.
Yeah, and it's super informative if you ever want
Yeah,
to know about
yeah,
the band.
yeah,
Do you? So that was just a weekend, right? Just the weekend.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Well, we were doing we did a bunch of dates.
around it.
Yeah, like we were in Montreal at the Corona, and I think we did Detroit, and
You guys used to play Sellersville, the Sellersville
yeah, we did that in the Rams Head,
Rams Head.
and we like that was all part of it, and then we wound up at the Agora, and there was
the camera crew. And,
the camera crew and everybody else going,
Yeah.
guess what? We're doing this, and it was like, what? So
oh, really? It was almost like
Yeah.
kind of shock
yeah, well, because they had spoke to us about
earlier.
it. I believe it might have been in Foxborough, possibly.
I was thinking you might be right. It might have been Boston, but I was also thinking it might have been down at Rams Head actually for some weird reason.
Oh, you know what? You could be right.
Yeah, because they were based out of. I think that group was based out of Jersey or Baltimore.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
I'd have to
Yeah.
look in the book again.
Yeah,
It's been a while
yeah.
since I dug into it, but
Yeah. But yeah, they came out and they offered to do it, and it was like, yeah, no, that's like way too much production and way too much money to do. And lo and behold, we show up and they're already there set up,
that's
and it
diehard.
was like, huh?
Yeah,
So
diehard fans. Yeah.
yeah.
And now we should mention too that you kind of alluded to it, but let me look at something here. I don't know if it's numbered. It's not numbered. I thought there was numbers on it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not. Unfortunately, it does not have. Well, it has this, but I didn't count the numbers. But I mean, there has to be 60 tracks, 50. I don't know.
56, I think.
Is that what it was?
I
56
think
songs?
so. Yeah.
And you had to get all those down? Like, what?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about playing with Frank is you get it really quick. Like, if you know the material, it'll pop back into your head. Like a lot of these songs that we played, some of them we never played before. Like everything's pretty spontaneous.
Really?
Like the jams and everything else, that's like,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
where are we going? What are we doing?
Right.
And then there's, the songs that we kind of know because we've done them on pretty
and
much
you
every
said before.
yeah
right,
type
right.
thing, like the Dragonflies and
Sure.
that type of thing. But when you start doing like
Sure.
Requiem for a Sinner and Rise Above and songs like that,
Yeah, there were
it's-
some deep tracks there that had.
yeah, those were like okay, when you're not playing, you're listening and figuring it out.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Um,
Again, a great learning experience.
yeah, I didn't tell you. Well, if you remember from watching the interviews, the way that I learned of Frank was this buddy of mine. I will not ever remember his last name, but his first name was Eric.
Okay.
Same age as me. I'll never forget this, man. I think it was 8th grade going into 9th. It was either between 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th, but I think
Okay.
no, it would have been 7th and 8th. And he was all into weird stuff like Todd Rundgren and
Right.
Utopia and
Yeah.
just rock, Aerosmith, all the bands we were
Yeah,
into in
yeah,
the
yeah.
70s, right? And I went over to his house one day, and his mom answers the door, and I'm like, "Where's Eric?" And she's like, "You know where he's at. He's back in the bedroom. Just follow the noise. It's back there."
Yeah,
And I go back, and his door's shut, and I'm hearing this just like terrifying, like guitar stuff. I'm like, "What in the hell is that?" In my head, right? I
yeah,
open the door. I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck?" I probably didn't say
yeah,
it back then. I might have. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" He's
yeah,
like, he hands me the '78 live album, the Frank
yeah,
Marino Mahogany Rush,
yeah, yeah.
and it's Electric Reflections of War,
Oh yeah, I wore out 5 copies of that on
which,
vinyl.
dude, which to this day is one of
Yeah.
the most harrowingly intense guitar orgasm songs you're ever gonna hear.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
Frank was
yeah.
doing shit that nobody was doing back then
Nope.
with volume swells
Yeah,
and whammy and using the
the
whammy bar.
October and
Yeah, the
doing all this.
Octavia
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that stuff that of course, I guess you could say, all right, there's always the Hendrix connection to Frank, but Hendrix never
yeah.
quite sounded like that. You know what I mean?
No, no.
Uh,
But see, that's the misconception that I always found kind of weird. It's like, yeah, he grew up in the time of Hendrix,
sure,
so you're influenced by what you hear.
of
It's
course,
like it's like you and I. We were influenced by Randy Rhoads and Van Halen.
sure.
I'm influenced by the guys in Skinner and Paul Kossoff and Gary Moore.
Alex
But
Life, Alex
yeah,
Life, there
Alex
too.
Lifeson,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
So it's yeah, he's got the similar sound, but he's not. He doesn't sound like Hendrix.
No.
He can, trust me.
Yeah, I'm sure
He's a guy that can play. Like when you watch the DVD,
he
you
can mimic
will.
other players.
Oh man, yeah. But it's the sound and everything else. But as much as I love his Hendrix stuff, Frank Marino, like I really, the covers were cool, but they didn't really do it for me. Like for me on that live album, when I heard "Talk About a Feeling," that was my song. Like I love that tune.
The song that really, in my opinion, stands out on this live DVD from the live thing
Yeah.
is damn, you guys jamming on this stuff. Oh man, all that the jazz stuff that he's doing on It's Begun to
Oh,
Rain.
which tune?
It's Begun to Rain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just
That's one of my favorite songs on this thing.
just stunning, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the interplay, the bass. Okay, mention the players on it again, real quick. Who
Okay,
the
well you had Mark Webber who played bass, and you had Dave Good who plays drums. Who's actually I Dave and I are still in contact all the time. I just
killer
sent him off.
drummer?
Yeah, I just sent him off a bunch of stuff, and he's been putting drum parts over top of some
He's
of
a
the new
killer
ones.
drummer, man.
He's amazing,
Was
and he's
there
he's
another,
just such a good guy.
was there
You know?
another guitar player there though?
No.
I could have swore I saw
Oh, Avi. Yeah,
a guy
Avi
playing a
on
Strat.
Strange Dreams.
Oh, he just played on that one song.
Yeah, he played my Strat on that song.
Okay, I was wondering about that because I'm like, he only just pops out just for a moment. Who
Yeah,
was
just
that?
during Avi played with Frank as his other guitar player for a while.
Okay,
After I had left,
okay,
but he's also a violinist.
gotcha.
So he used to play. He used to when he was playing with Frank, he would go back and forth between guitar and violin just to bring a different element
Oh, I didn't know that.
to
I
the
had no
music.
idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so that's very interesting.
yeah.
Do you, we're gonna jump off that and jump into your solo stuff real quick here in a
Sure.
minute. But
Yeah.
do you mentioned at one point a little bit back there? Do you get the sense that Frank, if he could play like he feels he wants to play,
Man, I
would,
pray every day.
but do you get the sense that he would go back
I
out?
do
Okay,
personally. I mean I'm not. I can't speak for Frank,
right.
um, but if he could go back out, and it was worth, um, if he felt like, okay, we're going to do this, and he called me and said, Mick, we're going back out, my suitcase would be packed and I'd be ready to go.
Right on. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would do it in a heartbeat. And it's funny because back in 2004, I walked away from music because I was done.
You were burnt out.
I walked away 2 years. Everything was packed in a closet. I wanted nothing to do with anything, and because I was too young and too egotistical
Ah,
to understand what I had just gone through, and it was a couple of years of walking away to feeling like, man, you're the luckiest guy in the world.
you just
You
need to
got a
get your head
chance.
right about it. You need
Yeah,
to get your head right.
you got a chance to play. You had the best seat in the house every night,
Hell yeah,
you know,
dude.
and
Like,
you came so close to losing your hearing so many times, but occupational hazard,
yeah,
you know.
tinnitus, big time. Yeah.
But man, I am so grateful for those moments. I'm so grateful to say that, my my guitar hero that I had a poster of in my locker in high school is like one of my best friends.
And you got to play with it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And we still play together.
Not many people get to do that. Dude.
No, and we still play together, and we still talk about pedals, and we still, and I have all the pedals. And like I said, man, I'm not a rich guy, but I bought those pedals because,
You know. The
oh
quality.
man, they sound amazing.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
quality, the quality within the pedal.
Yeah, I
is-
want to get the Dragonfly for all those.
Oh man, yeah.
The
I
killer.
was just gonna say, if you're looking for that really cool overdrive into distortion pedal,
Yep.
that's the one you want.
I mean, dude, the lead to Dragonfly, man, it's so subtle, but it's so fucking killer. And just the combination of the chords are so cool too, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, like, Frank always just, you mentioned like Requiem for a Sinner and Emperor and, just so many badass songs, dude. He just, or fuck, man, like Tales of the Unexpected.
Yeah.
Holy.
I used to love playing that. I used to kill my fingers and my wrist because I'd be doing the.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That chord that he uses, that.
Yeah.
This is in D, by the way. So.
Yeah.
That you probably can't hear it, but that
no,
chord,
I can hear it. Yeah.
I was like, God damn, man, that like I would have never thought to use that chord. That's such a cool chord, And that's the thing about Frank's playing. He's, very versatile in blues.
Oh, everything.
But like I was stunned to hear that, and you watched the interview, but I was stunned to hear that Norwegian Wood was him tapping. I thought it was a keyboard. I thought it was a keyboard.
No, that was him tapping.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, let's talk about your solo stuff here, because you do have some solo tunes out there, and you do have.
And I will have more coming out with hopefully Dave Good playing drums on it.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be great.
We've been conversing back and forth and exchanging tracks, and I'm in Canada and he's in, California. So it's not like we could just kind of hang out whenever. But he's near and dear to my heart. We became friends almost instantaneously, and just great guy, great drummer, just so much fun,
Awesome, man.
So when I sent stuff, he wrote some drum parts. He recorded them real quick and sent them back to me, and I heard them and I was like, "Would you do this?" And he was like, "Hell yeah, man!" So to have Dave Good playing drums with me would just.
So you're working on new material.
Yeah. I want to I released this 6-song thing, and then I have 2 different things that I'm kind of doing right now. I'm trying to do like a 10-song thing, like an album, for lack of a better term. And because I'm old, albums are albums.
That's what it is, dude.
Yeah. And I have a 6-song instrumental thing that I'm working on called Voiceless. And that, you being a metal guy, you'll probably enjoy because it's really a lot more heavier. It's
Okay.
got some of that neoclassical and a lot of Phrygian mode and harmonic minor and
Okay, cool. I mean,
shades of Uli and stuff like that.
the
So,
stuff that's on your, I'm going to bring this up real quick.
yeah,
Give me one moment here, real
yeah.
fast. I remember how to do this. There it is. All right.
Ah,
So
there.
this is your website.
Yep.
Cool shot there. Really cool
Thank you.
shot.
Thanks.
You're looking very stately. Now, are you always the Les Paul guy?
Yeah, which drove Frank crazy because he preferred if I played his Strat.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
He's
No,
not.
it's it's just a Les Paul to hit. He likes Les Pauls, but he's had a couple of Les Pauls, but he's not really a Les Paul guy. He's an SG guy, and
Yep.
I've always played Strats, and then I really got into Les Pauls, and now I have a double cutaway Les Paul. I have this one on the cover, which is a 72,
Oh, nice.
and I have the one in the DVD is I think it's a 2008 or 2009 Gibson BFG,
Okay.
which is they call it a barely finished guitar, and it used to be black,
Okay.
and it's not black anymore. I have just worn the hell out of it.
Oh, have you?
So,
Okay.
oh yeah, I play that thing all the
I
time.
mean, I'm
And
trying to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head because it's been like 2 years since I watched
yeah.
the video. But yeah, I've never run into a Les Paul that I love.
Yeah,
Haven't. And now I've never been fortunate to play like really, 60s or 50s, obviously, or 70s. But I did finally. I bought. So I was a Strat. My first guitar, my first electric guitar
okay.
was an '83 Gibson Explorer. I'm sorry. It was an '85 Gibson Explorer. '85
Okay.
Gibson Explorer.
Yeah.
New out of the window
Yeah.
with the very first Kahler trem system on it,
Okay.
with the locking Kahler
Yeah,
trem.
yeah. I remember those. Yep.
I had to sell it to make rent way back.
Well, yeah, we've all, yeah.
We've all done that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's the one that got away. But my second guitar then was a Fender Strat, a '94
Okay.
Fender Strat.
Okay.
I'm talking electrics here, okay?
Right.
And I love that guitar. I had to sell that when I went through my marriage.
Right.
So, but I was always trying to find a Les Paul. I'd go out and play every Les Paul in the local area, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
man, I just don't vibe with these. I don't know
No.
what it is. But I ended up grabbing a. Let me grab it here real quick. We'll show off our goodies, then I'll play your music.
Sure.
I ended up grabbing this because, quite frankly, for the price, I'm not paying $8,000 for a Les Paul.
Right. Is that a studio?
No, this is an Epiphone.
There you go. Yeah.
It's a Jerry Cantrell Epiphone, man.
Nice.
And it's the burgundy, the burgundy one.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest with you, dude. I think it's as good as any Les Paul I've played. Again,
Yeah.
I've never played any of the classic ones that are
Right.
the real. Let me do this real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that off for a minute while we do show and tell,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to it. But
Yeah.
So
There you go. The wine, or it's burgundy or wine.
burgundy wine. It's
Okay.
a wine.
Yeah.
It's wine. And I do love this guitar for $1,000 guitar. I think it's
man.
really well done.
Yeah.
But then I started to get into so I do have a PRS. That's kind of like my, and then of course you can see the Destroyer back.
Yeah.
Which I just got that last maybe 6 weeks ago.
Okay, but that's from the 80s.
That's a
82?
that's a 2002.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And it is a Fuji Gen. It's from the
Okay. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
one of the newer ones, but
Right.
I'll tell you the truth, man. I walked in there looking for a Strat
Yeah.
because I don't have any Strats anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, I gotta have a Strat because I have a PRS, I've got the Les
Right.
Paul, and then I've got a Dean. This is my main one, Dean,
Oh yes, the Dean.
the
Yeah.
Caddy. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
these. A lot of
Yeah.
people hate them because they're kind of like a Stratocaster with a, or not a Stratocaster.
No, it's kind of like an Explorer with a Les Paul back end.
Right, it's an
Yeah.
Explorer with a Les Paul
Yeah.
back end.
Yeah.
Exactly right, or Destroyer
Yeah.
too. I just love them the way they look. They're
Yeah,
kind
they
of
do. They
weird.
look great. They're the Cadillac, right?
That's the Caddy.
Dean
Yeah.
Cadillac. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But I went in there looking for a Strat, like a real
Okay.
Strat, like an
Yeah.
American Strat. I
Yeah.
was looking at about $2,000, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And I played a couple Jacksons, like high-end Jacksons,
Yeah. Yeah.
super
Yeah.
Strats, and I'm like, man, no way I'm dropping $2,800 on
No.
this thing. It's a piece of shit. Like, there's no way.
No. No.
I'm getting ready to leave, and the Guitar Center, which I swear to God, Mick, I had not been in that Guitar Center in 13 months.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
every time I go in there, I'll find something to spend
Something
money
to see. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That's
Yeah.
what guitar. Yeah.
The last time I was there, I dropped $7,000 because I have a high-end Taylor acoustic that
Which one?
I have the
The 4 something or the 7?
424
412? Oh,
yeah
424. Okay.
424
Yeah.
walnut edge burst. You can't see it
Yeah.
back there. That's the guitar I probably play the most of all.
Right.
Because
Right.
when I'm sitting around, I'm not plugging in a lot of the time. But anyway, I'm getting ready to walk out, and Dan says, "Dude, did you see the Destroyer that just came in?" I'm like, "What?" Man, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
I was
don't.
this close.
I
This
was
close to
close to
getting
walking
out,
out.
but then every time I try to get out, they drag me back in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, you should check it out because if you don't buy it, I think I'm gonna buy it." I'm like, "You ain't
Yeah.
gonna fucking buy it. You're gonna take it
Yeah.
home and trade it for something." I said, "All right, let me see it."
Yeah.
And I threw it in. They had an orange Tiny Terror,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck, man!"
Yeah.
And I didn't have my credit card on me
Oh well, that's sort of a good thing.
for one day. It was a
Yeah.
good.
Exactly. Yeah. You can always go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said, "Look, I can't. I said, "All right, I'll think about it tonight."
Yeah.
That whole night, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm like, God.
You know why? Do you know what it's called, Jeff? It's called gas.
Yeah, gear acquisition syndrome. Yes.
That's it. We all have it. We all say, "I've got everything I need until tomorrow."
Yep. Until tomorrow. Exactly. Yeah. Right. But it's like, what would Frank do? That's what I should have done. It's like, what would Frank do? He
Yeah,
would.
well,
He probably
Frank
wouldn't buy that.
No, he would. Well, for one, well, no, that's not his thing.
That's not his thing.
But the thing with Frank is that he's he's got he's got his own set of strings that he really loves, right? And the first time I played his guitar, it was like playing a banjo because
Like
they were
super thin?
so light, and I was
really?
like, oh yeah, and it killed me because I'm sitting there going, wait a second, this guy uses an unbelievably light set of strings, and he's got a Fender extra heavy pick, and you're like, technically this is not supposed to work. Like you should be out of tune every second of the moment, and yet he plays these beautiful lines, and it's like, how are you doing this? Like
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I've tried. I'm not an SG guy. I've tried SGs. I just don't get into them. It's just weird how that works. We all have gas, but we're all like, we have our little niche, our thing that speaks to us, right?
Well, what's funny is first, um, the first guitar I had was a Univox double cutaway, Les Paul Jr. copy, and I love that guitar. I ended up trading that guitar for an SG.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Mansfield SG copy, but it had a DiMarzio Super Distortion and a PAF.
Okay.
So I've had 10 SGs
Wow.
and never kept any of them. So about 2 years ago, hang on just a
Yeah,
second.
grab what you want.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my upbeat back. I can't just sit with a guitar in my hand and not play. So it's kind of like, I'm gonna.
So a year ago, I got this.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and I took it to Frank's. I don't know why I did that because I should know better. But I took it to Frank's and he played it and he was like, don't put a vibrola on it.
Okay.
Because I was telling him, well, yeah, I figured I'm going to have my own Roadhouse, you know?
Right.
And he's like, don't put a vibrola on it. Play it for 6 months. And then if you still really want to get one, because, Lord knows I got an SG. I want to be able to do dive bombs and everything, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll never put a vibrola on this guitar.
Okay. Now is that here? I got you. Let me hold on one sec there. Stay
Yeah.
where you're at there. One
Yeah.
minute. I think I got you backwards there. Now I got you the right way. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Now I got you facing the right way. I think I had you mirrored the wrong way though. So that's an actual Gibson then.
Yeah. That's a
What year's that one?
2015.
Okay.
2015 or 2016. It's called an SGT.
Okay.
It came with classic 57s. It's got
Nice.
The Grover locking tuners. Yeah, it's a real nice guitar, and like Frank said, don't put a vibrola on it.
Now what kind of amps do you use? What kind of amp do you have?
I have a Fender Blues Deluxe reissue.
Okay.
That's a tweed one.
Is that a 412 or a 410?
No, it's a 112.
Oh, 112. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're just playing through a combo then.
Yeah, that's amp one. That's basically my clean tone.
Okay.
And then the second amp is a 77 50-watt Marshall bass with a 212 cap.
Okay. A 50 watt head.
Yeah, it's a 50-watt Marshall bass
Bass.
head.
BAS.
Yeah, BASS. It's like a super bass or something like that.
I've never heard of them before.
Well, Dwayne Allman and Warren Haynes and Paul Kossoff and all those guys, they all use these.
No kidding.
They all use the super bass.
Okay.
And
interesting.
Yeah, so I ended up getting that. I think I bought that in 1980. And
wow. So you had a while then, yeah.
Yeah. I bought it in 1980, and then I sold it to a friend of mine in 84. And then 25 years later, I bought it back.
Oh, nice. He still had it.
Yeah. Yeah. He never got rid of it.
Do you use all analog stuff as far as your pedals, or?
Well, I've got my pedals consist of a chord tuner. Then it's the Frank Marino line, and I've got a flashback delay and a Hall of Fame reverb, and then I've got a switch to go from amp to amp.
Okay, so you're pretty minimal on effects.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got 2 gain stages, and I got the sus4 for compression and sustain, and
that's the new one, right? Is that the new one?
Yeah, the sus4. Yeah, like I said, I bought the 6 pedals that came out. So
he's got 6 now.
Yeah, he's got 6 now.
Oh wait, which?
So the first 3 that he put out was the
Dragonfly,
the Juggernaut, which is the fuzz.
Yep.
And the Maxim, which is the clean boost.
Okay.
And then he put out the Crying Moon, which is an auto wah. He put out the sus4, which the moment I got a chance to play that pedal when it was first put together.
Okay.
like the demo version of it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, when you're putting this out, I need to have this. So it's
No, I did hear that.
amazing.
I heard that one. I didn't know about the Crying Moon, and what's the other one?
Yeah, and the other one is I can't remember the name of it. Hang on, it's a chorus pedal. But what's cool
Oh,
about
cool.
it, yeah. But what's cool about it, let me just. Called Universe. That's what it's called.
Oh, Universe. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So what's really cool about that pedal is that you have two switches. One is for classic, and one is like enhanced. So it gives you sort of two different chorusing effects.
So one's like a boost on top of the chorus.
No, because you have a mix, right, where you can blend. So
Oh,
you
you can
can
blend.
blend your actual guitar with the effect itself,
Oh, okay,
which is
okay,
very
gotcha,
cool.
gotcha.
Um, but one of them is a little more. One's like that classic CE2 Boss chorus thing.
Oh, yeah, I love that sound.
Yeah, me too. And which I still have one of those.
I have,
Um,
man, I'd give anything to have mine back. I didn't like my original that came out in the late '80s, like
yeah, yeah.
the blue one, right? It's the
Right.
blue,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
like a
light blue.
turquoise color, bluish sort of.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I still have that, and but this thing sounds just as good, if not better, than that thing does.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, this is going on the board, and this will go in my sort of drawer, and one of these days I'll pull it back out just for like recording purposes or whatever. But the other cool thing is that, and then you can switch it, and it almost gives it more of a shimmer, like it's
Oh, okay.
enhanced. Yeah,
A little bit of more modulation.
yeah, type thing. It gives it
Okay.
almost like that univibe kind of
Oh,
feel, like so you can do that sort of Robin Trower,
oh, like
yeah, that type of
yeah,
thing.
Bridge of Sighs vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Which is very cool.
Oh yeah.
And then the nice thing about it is, if you're a guitar player or a bass player, is that on the other side there's another toggle that goes from guitar to bass. And what's
Wow.
cool, yeah, so what happens is when you plug in, you get the chorus effect, and then when you go to bass, it actually bypasses the guitar setup to give you the bass setup.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
All right. Well, now that you told me this,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to call Frank and say, hey, we need to do another session. We got to talk about
Yeah,
these new pedals here, man.
yeah,
And I
'cause-
still, it's crazy. I still have questions that I haven't tapped into
yeah,
with him for other albums. So
yeah,
let
yeah,
him know I'm gonna be
yeah.
reaching out soon.
I will.
So the songs that we're gonna check out here real quick. We'll check
Yeah,
out a few of them. How's that sound?
that's cool.
What do you want?
I will premise this with, I have read the comments on a couple of different things, and my favorite is, oh yeah, I can hear the influence. Well, I played with the guy off and on for 20 years, and he's been my hero since I was like a kid.
Sure.
Yeah, you're gonna hear an influence.
Okay.
And I
Right.
stood 4 feet away from him. you know?
Yeah, I'm
So
running into a weird thing here. Hold on a minute.
yeah, yeah.
I lost the. Why did it share that? Hang on one sec here.
Mm-hmm.
Try this again. There it is. There it is. It didn't want to come up initially. I don't know why it didn't do that. So, all right. So one thing to warn you about here, though, unfortunately, I don't run through an audio interface
Yeah, yeah, that's
when I
fine.
do this, so it's not going to be the killer audio quality. So I would just suggest everybody go to Mick's website. There's samples up there,
Yeah, that's the best way to hear it.
and
It's,
you can order.
well, you can order a download of it online.
Oh,
Like
it's down.
originally I was going to do a CD, and then it was like, it's just so much easier for somebody to say, yeah, I'll give you $1 per song, and just
Right.
download it. So,
Which of the songs would you like me to play?
but you know what? Your choice, my friend. I really, it's
Okay, how about we do?
like Find My Way has that kind of uh, Frank vibe, and Sexy Strut is kind of a funny tune just because you know.
I was gonna try the song in blue because it's
Oh, you haven't
instrumental.
heard that? Then
No,
go
that
ahead.
one I didn't play yet. So let's try
Okay, go
that
ahead
one.
and put that one on.
All right, now let me see. All right, so I have before I do this, before I play it,
Yeah.
I have to shut off that noise cancellation because otherwise, or echo cancellation, otherwise it doesn't come through well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So we shouldn't talk during that.
yeah,
Okay.
not a problem.
So what I think I'm gonna do actually is mute us both
Okay.
for that. So just give me a minute. How do I do that though? Damn it! I wish I knew how to work this thing. It's a new program for me, and I still haven't fully figured it out. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bounce us out for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Again, this is mix some of Mick's solo material here. We're gonna listen to "Song in Blue" first, and then I'll come back on then, okay? And we'll both come back on. Sorry.
my way back to you, girl. With your hair so fair and a loving stare. Well, if I don't find that shore, well, I won't get home no more. Lost no more.
All right. All right. There's a couple too.
Thank you.
Got to throw some lead guitar in there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that blues. The instrumental is really cool. I like those chord choicings and very understated playing. You could have gone shreddy and weird on it.
Yeah, but
Very
why?
understated. Yeah, and yeah, I mean the first track does have a bit of a Frank vibe to it, but I mean,
Yeah,
but like you said, you're a product. We're all a product of our
our
influence.
influences, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, I played with Frank and I got to play his music
yeah,
for
for
a
sure.
long time. So and but like some of the other people I listen to, like Rick Derringer and Paul Kossoff and Free.
Oh yeah,
and
you
that
can
type
hear
of
that
thing.
in there too. Big
Yeah, and some of the lines I actually are like, if you listen to some Rory Gallagher's earlier stuff, like the
very Rory.
Blueprint and stuff, he was a big influence on me as well.
Yeah,
With,
very Rory-ish. Yes. For sure.
yeah, and but I like that sheer rawness.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I did that, that's just me doing that.
How long ago did you record those?
I recorded those in 2000, I believe.
Oh, they were a while
No,
back.
no. I recorded that song in 2000, and then I redid everything. Well, I redid that song, and then I wrote the other 6 tunes that are on there in 2020.
Okay. So
Yeah.
some of them are fairly recent then. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like that song in blue was done in 2020. Um, uh, Get to Know Me was done in 2020. I believe 2019 was when I did Sexy Strut. But they were all written around 20, 2019, 2020. And then first of all, I'm not a singer. So I'm a terrible lyricist and self admitted, and I my biggest fear in life is a microphone. Like I don't mind if they're cranked and melting in front of the amp. It's just
Yeah,
if
I
it's
got
in
you.
front of my mouth and I actually have to do real vocal. Yeah, no, thank you.
Well,
So
look, dude, that's really put yourself out there. I mean, it's the most exposed you can be with your vocals. You know what I mean?
well, that's the thing, right? So when I did those songs, I did them by myself.
Yeah,
So like the drums are me, and the bass is me, and the guitars are me, and the mix is me, and the mastering is me, and
yeah,
everything was me on that, and the vocals were the hardest part
yeah, yeah.
because I had to write a melody, which is easy enough to do when you're, but with the understatement type thing, that I learned from Frank, right? You don't have to. I mean, he plays, and but his phrasing and his choice of notes, like musically in his brain, he's just leaps and bounds above so many others,
Oh man,
you
yeah,
know.
it's just wow.
So I tried to approach doing certain things, like I would speak to him and ask him, while I was working on it, like, I wouldn't ask him to listen to it because that's not what I'm going to do. But I would say, listen, I'm trying to sort of work on this, or I'm trying to go with this, and
Right, right.
he would give me little tips and tricks and stuff. So when I did it, it was there's a lick in the solo of "Find My Way" that's actually um, uh, ah, the hang on, trying to remember the trying to
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
yeah, it's on the power of rock and roll, and I'm trying to think of the tune right now, but and we did it on the DVD.
Right, right, right.
So anyway, that I got to this point, and I went down, and I went, oh yeah, okay, that's a nice little tip of the hat to Frank.
I'm gonna steal that riff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hey man, we all
So,
steal that riff. There's not a
oh
song.
yeah,
There's not a song I try to write that doesn't have the Alex Lifeson chord. Again, this is in D, but
yeah,
and it's you
yeah,
can't hear.
yeah, yeah. No, I can hear it. I played
It sounds
enough.
weird. It
I,
sounds weird in drop D because it's
yeah,
now it doesn't sound like it should sound, but
yeah.
but it's like I don't think there's a single song that I write that I don't throw that
You
fucking.
don't get chord in there. Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? Talk to John Petrucci because he's stolen that
Oh
chord a
yeah,
million times.
yeah, yeah.
All of us guys that love Alex, we steal that chord. So flattery is the highest form
Oh
of
yeah, for sure, man, for
yeah.
sure.
So,
I totally agree with you on that. That's why like I said, I'm very grateful and very blessed to have not only experienced the life that I've experienced musically, and to get a chance to play with my hero in a band,
dude, that is
and
like huge.
yeah, it's and to learn and converse, and to learn how to converse musically,
Yeah.
and like when he called me and said, "Hey, by the way, I wanted to let you know that I put out another song on YouTube, but it didn't make it to the DVD." And I was like, "All right." And he goes, "I think you should listen to it. It's called Unreleased Blues."
Okay, that
And
one.
I was like, "All right, cool, man. Yeah, I'll check it out." And he goes, "No, I think you should check it out because I kept your solo in it."
Oh wow,
So I
nice.
went, okay. And then I went and I watched it, and man, like I was like, wow, like that's pretty cool.
Pretty
Like,
cool moment, right?
yeah, like I see Frank do his thing, and then he just kind of, sort of backs away and looks over, and it's like, okay, do your thing.
He lets you
And
know.
what was what I really appreciated about it was the fact of that he put it out anyway, because he never had to put that in, right?
Sure, of course.
It could have been on a bonus DVD somewhere down the road with like all the pre-day stuff and some of
Right,
the
sure.
other excerpts
Sure.
of tunes, but he put it out there, and I remember specifically, "Don't overplay."
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
So when when he kind of backed off and let me do my thing, I could have went down that road of like, okay, I've got 30 seconds. I got to put in as much as I possibly. Yeah. And for the first time, I just kind of went, yeah, just play for the song.
Just
And I
play
just,
the song. Yep.
yeah. And I just felt something. And obviously he thought it was good enough to keep it in there
Yeah.
and to release it. So I was very grateful for that.
Pretty
And
killer moment. Yeah.
it's like that was a pretty telling moment for me in the sense that, man, okay, you didn't have to do this and you did it, and
Yeah.
you called me to let me know that you did it,
That's
and
so cool.
man, like, how grateful can one person be to sit there and go, yeah, I kept your solo in the song.
That's super cool, man.
Awesome, yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, hopefully he'll get a chance to take a look at this. And I don't know if he's much of an internet guy because he doesn't like to do, the actual video type thing.
No,
Not
no.
that guy. He's still
I'll, I'll
Frank.
tell you, yeah.
Frank, you're stuck back in the '80s, buddy. Just say.
But in all fairness, Jeff, when you said, yeah, we should get on and do this, I was like, I figured it was going to be a phone call.
No.
Yeah, and then when you said, man, if you got like a computer, let's do, and I was like,
yeah, listen. Frank is the only guy I make.
Oh, I know.
He's the only guy I make that concession to.
Yeah.
Nobody else will I do that for. I want to have a conversation between two dudes.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's nice to see the person and have a conversation.
And with Frank, I understand, given where he's been, what he's been through, what he's dealt with. I would find it kind of hard to believe that he doesn't have a laptop that he could get on, but I mean, just maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I when he said, "Hey, I only do phoners," I'm like, "Okay, man, whatever it takes to get you on, I'm doing it." Okay.
Well, that's kind of what he's always done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do, like, the only time you ever see him being interviewed live or whatever the case may be is either a TV thing,
right,
or like a one-off sort of.
Well, like there was that one where the
Much Music thing or something.
Yeah,
like
where they
that.
Came into his house.
And all that stuff. The Gazette, that type of thing. Yeah. That's about the only time he's going to do, because he's done thousands of interviews. Yes. And most of them have been on radio.
Yep, radio or print. He comes from that era. Yeah, he comes from that era, and I mean, we do too. But by the same token, I'm a pretty fairly internet savvy dude. I'm not like, I don't do the TikTok like the kids do, and I don't do that kind of shit. I mean, I think my channel could be much bigger if I was a little more savvy. I don't really mess around with Facebook very much, although we are streaming to Facebook. Oh, but okay. I kind of, and I also, if you notice too, I don't edit.
That was the cool thing. Like, when you said this is a live stream, I was like,
live without a net, Brady. Sometimes, every now and again, I'm trying to remember. There was one situation. This segues really perfectly. Hang on a minute. Yeah. I'm going to show something else here. It's not relative to you, but it is relative to Frank. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Frank apparently was a guest at the Opeth show back in October, maybe, was it? Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was October. And you notice, okay, this is Michael and I forget his name. Solver, I forget his name. This is Frederick Åkesson.
Okay.
Who's the lead guitar player for Opeth. These two guys here are fucking phenomenal guitar players.
Yo, I know.
This guy right here, legend, okay?
Yeah.
This guy right here plays for Voivod.
Yeah.
That is Dan Mongray. And
Yeah.
Dan Mongray is
Yeah.
a fucking beast too.
Oh, I know Dan.
Oh, do you? Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's awesome, man.
Yep. Yeah. Great player.
Oh, scary player. Too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's Rocky and Away from Voivod too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that Frederick is a massive Frank Marino fan. So this
Well, he bought a pedal.
Did he get one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he ended up buying a pedal.
That doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
And Michael, I believe, would probably be a big fan too. Maybe not as big as Frederick, but yeah, it was just funny that you brought that up because there's a bunch of Canadian guitar players. And
all in the same room.
and some Swedes. And some
Swedes.
But let me kill that off there real quick.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
man. I mean, look, you've gotten to do something that not a lot of people get to do.
And trust me, I know that.
And you sound
at first
very
you kind of, at first you kind of don't realize the situation you're in, and you kind of, you always have this feeling like, oh, okay, well, I've been doing this forever, so what's the difference? There's no real difference, but there is a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. Yep.
And as you find out, and as time goes on, and as you sort of recollect and reminisce about some of the things that you've seen and gone through, you level up.
Yeah, yeah.
So you learn things. Like I learned how to be a better player by not trying to do so much.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of other players. A lot of other players could stand to learn that.
Yeah, but it's about
like
tone,
Yngwie
right?
Malmsteen.
Yeah.
Great fucking player, but
amazing. Yeah.
I can't listen to him anymore because he just overplays on everything. It's
that's the thing. When he came out, it was like, oh my god, it's same thing. It was kind of the same thing when Van Halen came out, right? Like everybody just kind of went, what is this guy doing?
Right.
And it was the same thing with Yngwie. It was like he had to do it faster than anybody else, and so on. Which is,
I don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like Yngwie, and there's nothing against Yngwie.
No.
But now, if you watch Yngwie, he kind of does the same stuff over and over.
Yeah.
And over. And it's just, I don't get me wrong. I love shredders. I love dudes that are blistering, but it's time. I love listening to somebody like Frank where he does these, like on It's Begun to Rain, where he's doing all those really cool.
Oh yeah.
Jazzy fucking licks that you're like, oh, man.
Well, when you listen to the original version of that song from 4, and it's already a beautiful song.
Right. And
then when you listen to how far he can take it today.
Yeah, live like that.
It's like, okay, obviously the master has learned his craft.
And I mean, that's a neat thing that you just brought up there. Frank comes from that era where improv is a skill.
Yeah.
A lot of bands today, they write parts, they learn those parts,
and that's
they don't know how to deviate from any of that.
Exactly.
They can't get out of their lane. It's all production. It's all lighting.
Oh, yeah.
By this. It's triggered drum, or not triggered drums. Click track stuff. Which I know you guys weren't playing to a click, right?
No, we had Dave.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of funny. I was listening to Mike Portnoy recently, who went back to Dream Theater. And they played to a click with Mangini. Killer player.
Oh, I love Mangini's a great player. I loved what he did with Extreme.
But Mike's like Portnoy.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't play that way. I like a little bit of
push and pull.
Take. Yeah, push and pull, exactly. Yeah. So, and Frank comes from that era where you better be able to step up.
Yeah.
Or he's going to just shooting you some bad looks all the time, right?
Oh yeah. You're gonna get a look that
Listen, Nick, man, this has been great. This has been great.
It has been.
Guys, for the numerous cancellations. With I
Hey.
am dealing with some real tough stuff right now.
I know, and I'm very grateful to have the moment to speak to you, and I'm
Yeah,
very
man.
grateful for the platform that you gave me
Sure, buddy.
to get it out there and get to talk to you and get to meet you. And
Yeah, man. It's been awesome to meet you.
yeah,
And, do me a favor, stay in
yeah,
touch.
yeah, I will.
You got my contact
I
info.
do now. Yep.
We'll connect at some point. Let's
Yeah,
cross
man.
our fingers and hope it's
That
over a
a
Frank Marino
live show thing, right?
or a live show thing, right?
Yeah, that would be very cool.
And whatever you do, please let everybody out there go check out Mick's solo songs. Check the rest of them out.
Yeah, I've
I didn't
already
want to make it
told
all about
everybody
just
this.
playing your whole EP
No,
because,
no, no, no.
but go check that stuff out and let Mick know how you're doing. You do have some videos on YouTube, I believe.
I have a couple of videos from a couple of bands that I used to play with. They're mostly cover stuff, except for one video I have, which is from '91 with.
But
Pony
there's a couple of
Express.
these songs that are on YouTube as well, right?
Well, they're not videos. They're on YouTube, but they're
Yeah, it's
just
just
the
a song.
audio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So you can go check them out there. Let's see. I had an interview with Tom Fountainhead scheduled for Thursday. I changed that. It's going to go to April 2nd now. There is some stuff in the works. Saturday, depending on my health, Saturday we're going to be doing the Post Metal Island deal where we pick our top 10 post metal albums. I also never mentioned this, but this is the T-shirt for the channel.
Oh,
Not to you. This is to my watchers. To anybody
yeah, yeah.
watching. So that's the official T-shirt of the podcast, if you will, or the YouTube channel. I never ever pimp my wares. I'm never doing that, and I should. But so anybody that's interested in a T-shirt for the channel, check out the links are down below. You can order them. I need a reason to order some new re-ups on this. So people buy a T-shirt one of these days. All right, just saying, one of those things. So Mick, hang on a minute. I'm going to end there, and
Yep.
I just want to talk to you off
Sure.
post here for a minute here. Everybody, thanks for being here. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything more to announce other than this Saturday night. So check Mick's stuff out. He's over here. He's over here. He's over there. He's
He's everywhere.
one of these ways over here. So, and I would also suspect
Thank you so much.
that we will have another Frank Marino hang soon. So
I'm hoping.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, man. Hang loose.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.